What's up, channel? This is part 2 of my attack day vlog video. That'll be, if you guys haven't seen part 1, that'll be up in the corner for you guys to go check out. But like I said, this is part 2. I think I have 2 games on this one, with me talking up in the corner again, telling you guys about what happened. But that's it, guys. I would say enjoy, but it's kind of a hard video. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy part 2. And so I start hearing him yell at the other trucks to set up the security around the vehicle so that they could start pulling us out and assessing what was going on with us. And the only portion that I remember blacking out in is when they actually pulled me out of the vehicle, because I think that's when the pain finally hit me. Like when I moved, because you know how sometimes like when you hurt something, if you don't move it, you don't feel it. But as soon as they moved me, it's like the pain just shot through my body, and I was like, I don't remember being pulled out of the truck. Next thing I remember, I'm laying down, like literally laying out in the middle of the street in downtown Baghdad, just laying out on the street. My driver was on the front wheel, like they had pulled him out and put him up against the front wheel of our vehicle, and I just remember looking at him, and you know how you see video or movies and scary movies where somebody gets shot and you just see blood just like gushing out. Well, that's exactly what he looked like. It was just that constant, every heartbeat you can see the blood just gush out of his neck. It was actually on this side, excuse me, because the blast came through from our right to left, and he was just gushing out of the neck with every heartbeat. But at that point, the pain was like fully, it hit me like completely, and I was screaming. I'll admit it, I was screaming because I was hurting, because what had happened to me was when the blast came through, like I said, it came from my right side to the left. It just blasted right through the truck. There was a blast through the front door, which I might be putting pictures down on the bottom of this. There's a decent sized hole on the front of the truck, on the front passenger side door, that actually came through and hit right on my team leader's thigh, and that's what ended up taking her leg off. And then shrapnel also came through the rest of the vehicle, and there's holes in the back passenger side window, that they're saying are the ones that went through my leg, because when I say this literally, if the blast had happened a split second later, I would have been lower in the turret and the blast would have hit both my legs. But luckily it was only my left leg, and it literally ripped right through my leg, or my left leg, right below the knee. And when it passed through, it took a chunk out of my tibia. There was I would say this, there's still a piece of me in Iraq, and I mean it literally. There's a piece of my bone literally somewhere out there in Iraq, and it knocked that out and then just exited out the other side of my leg. And like I said, my driver, when the blast came through, shrapnel hit him in his throat. It literally barely missed his main artery there in your neck, but he was very lucky that it was just like that little while. I just remember sitting there screaming, and growing up in a religious home, I find it funny because I was sitting there and I was praying. Like I was praying that like I wouldn't go to hell and that I would survive it. Like I was asking for forgiveness for all the sins that I had done, because that's what I was raised in, like what I was raised to believe in. And like a split second later, I would be like cussing out the Iraqis, because with us being the first initial attack, we knew they were watching us. They always say they test. They know when new units are coming in, and they test to see how we respond. So I knew somewhere they were watching us. So I would go from praying 1 second to cussing out Iraqis, telling them they could all rot in hell. They're fucking bitches. I want to fucking kill them all that kind of stuff. Like I was upset, but at the same time I was repenting, and then cussing them out, and then repenting. And it was pretty hard, pretty weird moment. But eventually they decided that they called in a medevac on us, a medevac request to airlift us out of there, because we My squad leader was severely hurt. Like I said, she lost her leg and was losing blood rapidly. My driver had the hole in his neck. He was losing blood rapidly. And I had obviously had my leg ripped through, so I was losing blood. And so they were trying to call in. They called in the medevac, and they said due to the weather conditions, it was very windy that day. They weren't going to be able to get helicopters to us in 30 minutes. If we had been there for 30 minutes, we would have died, either from our injuries or from the attack that came afterwards when we were sitting there waiting. So our second in command team leader, he took charge, said we're getting them out of here, get them in the trucks, we're leaving, we're going back to the FOB. And they originally put me in a truck with my friend Hurd, Devin. I remember talking. They just looked down at us. They looked down at me and they were like concerned about me. They were trying to talk to me, try to keep me awake, try to keep me positive that we were going to make it through this. And then the decision was made to put Hutch in that vehicle. She was on a stretcher, so they told me to pull myself over to the other side of the truck. So I somehow get over to behind the driver's seat, and they start handing in Hutch's stretcher. So I grab it, start pulling her in, and while pulling her in, I pushed myself out of the vehicle. Like I was literally hanging outside the vehicle. So Sergeant Bridges, I remember he came around, he picked me up, and literally like a baby, he put one arm under my legs and one hand behind my back and just picked me up. And at that point, I swear to God, I blew out his ear Jones, because one, he was moving my legs, which hurt, and it was just painful. So he just literally carried me all the way back to another truck. He put me in that truck, and the entire time I was just screaming in his ear because like I was hurting, like seriously hurting. And I remember we were driving back, and I was with my actual team leader, who wasn't in our vehicle with us, which thank God he wasn't in our vehicle, because if anybody had been sitting behind my squad leader, they said they would have died instantly, and that's where he would have been sitting. But I remember he was in the truck with me on the way back, and his job on the ride back to the base was to slap me and keep me awake. Well, technically to keep me awake, but he decided the best way to do that was to slap me to keep me awake. I remember talking to him about how to let my mom know what was going on, let her know I was okay. I gave him my mom's phone number, and every once in a while, I'm just going to take a nap. I'm just going to go to sleep. I'll be all right. I'm fine. Just let me sleep a little bit. And anytime I would close my eyes, he would smack me, or anytime I'd stop talking, he would slap me. And there was one time I was sitting there. I remember I was sitting there talking about my mom, and while I'm talking, he slaps me. I'm like, what was that for? I'm talking. And he was like, I just wanted to slap you. I'm like, man, I'm gonna beat you when I get you. I want to beat the like. I was just pissed because he was slapping when I was like obviously talking to him. But I remember like one of the things that I remember is one of our gunners. I'll call him Rob. He was always a quiet guy. He wasn't really that loud. But I remember looking up, and he was screaming. He was pissed. And I just looked up at him, and I felt proud, because one of my jobs in the team as well, was being the most experienced gunner, was I mentored those guys. Like when they got to the company, I was the one that taught them everything about the guns, everything they needed to know, everything about their job. I taught them that. And I remember I looked up at him, and I was like, he's doing it. Like it took this, but he's doing it. And I was so proud of him, because he looked like me up in the turret. He was on it, and I was so proud of him. And he was vocal, hella vocal. It was awesome. They eventually got us back to the FOB, and when they pulled me in, they laid me out. We went to where casualties were taken, and they laid us out. I was laid out. Hutch was in a separate area. I don't remember exactly where Josh was. I don't remember. But when we actually got back, the rest of our platoon was there, because we rolled out in squads, and the other 3 squads, they were there. I remember seeing my platoon sergeant. I remember seeing other guys, and the hard part about it was I remember seeing people crying. I remember seeing some of some of my brothers crying, because they'd seen because what they were seeing, you know. And when they brought me in, they determined that I was stable, that my legs, like with the tourniquets and everything I had, I wasn't going to get any more. That I was going to be fine. So they hooked me up to a morphine drip. I still remember when they hooked me up to a morphine drip. I went from in pain 1 second to like this euphoric feeling, and I was like, as a brother of mine put it, I was back to being me, just because I was on morphine. Even to the point where some captain yelled at me, and I told him to go fuck off, and I flipped him off. I remember that, and the brother actually second that. He enforced that story because I was me again, and it was awesome. And that morphine was awesome. That was crazy. And looking back at it, they said my squad leader and my driver both died. Like, literally they had died, but they revived them. I know my driver died once, and I believe my squad leader actually flatlined twice. But eventually the Blackhawks came, and they airlifted us to the main hospital, the real hospital, the big hospital in Baghdad, like in the green zone. And that started our process of getting patched up and sent back home. And me and my driver went everywhere together. We were always on the same flight, same helicopters. Every flight I was on, every hospital I was in, my driver was always there with me at the same time. And me and him eventually ended up in San Antonio, where we would do our rehab. And my squad leader arrived, I believe, a month later. No, like 2-3 weeks later, she got there. Her injuries were serious, so she wasn't able to fly as fast as we were. They were still doing a lot of work on her because she had the more serious injury where she literally lost her leg. But after that, it was just years of rehab. It's been tough. Those wounds are still... Physically, my leg is fine. My leg's healed up. There's still scars all over it, but it works. But the mental scars are what stick with me most to this day. And in August of 2012, the mental scars took my driver's life. My driver passed away in 2006, or in 2012 August. And this is going up Valentines Day 2013. This is 7 years. 7 years since it's happened. And it's still tough. I always say this time of year is always tough as it is, but this year it's Josh Owen. It's been a lot tougher. Just because that was my driver. I love that guy. Love that guy to death. I love all my military brothers. The guys I had there with me, the guys that saved my life. I love them all to death. And with Josh, it always felt, due to the fact that we lived through some fucked up shit together. We both lived through it. We were closer. And losing him, it's torn me up. But a few years after I was up walking again, when I got when my leg was fine and stuff, I tried to go back into active duty. I ended up going back out to El Paso, and things just caught up with me, and everything just came back. It wasn't good. I ended up being medically retired out for my PTSD and my post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've been retired since 2009, 2010. Like, it's such a blur to me, to be honest. I've been retired since then, and it's Even though I'm out of the military, and now that attack is 7 years ago, I still feel like it was yesterday. I can still feel it. It's still it's just tough, you know. But so that's my story. That's why I'm retired. That's why I'm out of the military now. And that's why I am the way I am. That's why I play video games. It's I don't have to deal with people. I just play with people online. If I don't like people, I mute them or delete them. But that's how I got to where I am. It's probably the biggest thing in my life. But that's it, guys. I'm not sure what gameplay I put down there because I'm just shooting this vlog separate. I'm not sure what kind of pictures I put there, but I'm sure there should be pictures of my truck. I'll probably put one here towards the end. It shows you the damages of the bomb blast itself that ripped through our truck. So that's it, guys. Now you know. Now you guys are a little bit closer to me. But this is already really long. See you guys next time. My name is Hated. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Peace. I'm out.
You will be rewarded for your loyalty.